Pancake, everyone. Top 10 most unusual professions. There are a huge number of professions in the world. Some people like creative specialties, and some people like to deal with numbers. Choosing a profession to pursue for the rest of your life is one of the most difficult choices a person might have to make. But what if you can't find your dream job among the ordinary and boring professions? After all, there are professions that can surprise anyone. And in this selection, we've collected the top 10 most unusual professions from around the world. Perhaps one of them is exactly what you need. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and don't forget to click on the bell as not to miss our new videos. We wish you a pancake mood, and here we go. The snake milker. Milking snakes? Well, why not, considering that it pays up to $60,000 a year? You might think that getting this job isn't so hard. After all, really, who in their right mind and intellect would agree to milk snakes, right? This, however, is a misconception. Firstly, to get the job, you need a degree in herpetology or at least zoology. Secondly, a specialist in this field earns up to $60,000 a year. The job, as the name implies, is to extract venom from snakes and other reptiles. The venom is then used in pharmacological research and in the production of drugs. In particular, snake venom can be used to lower blood pressure and prevent thrombosis. It is also believed to reduce the risk of strokes and heart attacks. The Chamberlain of the Stool. Is a stool assistant a prestigious job? If you think not, then you are sorely mistaken, because such a person used to have great influence in the court. The person's role was to assist the monarch on his trips to the bathroom. The job was considered incredibly prestigious. The Chamberlain of the Chair was privy to the innermost secrets of the king or queen, and wielded considerable power in the court, while also running important errands. The first representative of this profession took his position under Henry VIII, and it was sent to the dustbin of history in 1901 by King Edward VII. The Chamberlain had to carry it everywhere after the monarch, along with water, towels, and washing up utensils. It is believed that he also monitored his ward's diet to ensure that he did not have defecation issues. 3. The living scarecrow. There's no such thing as a living scarecrow? You'd be wrong if you thought so. And the proof is a British man named Jamie Foxx, who is making good money at it. So a British man named Jamie Foxx, after graduating from Bangor University, decided to earn not with the knowledge he received there, but by retraining as a living scarecrow. An employer willing to pay for this unusual service was found in Norfolk, which is also in Great Britain. The scarecrow's job is to prevent grouse from landing in a 10-acre rapeseed field. Jamie's work uniform looks like this: bright orange coat, accordion, and a cowbell. The man is paid about $300 a week to sit in a chaise longue, read a good book, and as needed, drive away birds that fly into his protected domain. Fox is excellent at his job. The farmer who hired him told the BBC that in previous years he had missed dozens of tons of crops, but today he knows no problems, except for having to explain to strangers why a brightly dressed man with an accordion is chasing birds in his field. If you came to an event and after a while you're being dragged in a bag by a couple of jocks, then most likely you have nothing to worry about, because it's just a joke from the creator of the event. So you've come to a corporate event to have a drink, or if you're lucky, to have an affair. At a certain point, a couple of thugs of gangster appearance run up to you, put a black bag over your head, and drag you outside, into a waiting car. Relax. If something like that actually happened to you, you were the victim of professional kidnappers, who do nothing illegal. These kinds of shenanigans have become quite popular lately. After all, being kidnapped is a lot of fun, isn't it? If the organizer of the event thinks that it might be boring, he calls the firm, which sends over intimidating-looking muscle men, who steal either the customer or his guests. In most cases, everyone present is aware of what is happening. Moreover, the performers ask in advance what the person being kidnapped agrees to do. This does turn the whole operation into a cheap farce, but that is the law today. If an unsuspecting person is kidnapped, he or she may well demand compensation for moral damages. Can't get enough of hugs? You should order a hugger, though bear in mind that it's not going to be very cheap. Here, perhaps, everything is very clear by the name of the profession. Whoever works as one is required to hug customers for money. On the internet, the specialists of this profile are concentrated on several resources, the largest of which is probably Cuddlist. Here, you can order strokes and caresses tailored to the needs of the client, and each cuddler has a profile that you can carefully review before requesting their services. They are, by the way, quite expensive. It turns out that the average average consumer is willing to pay about $60 for pleasure delivered, which understandably does not include intimacy. Bicycle catcher. What do you think about pulling up to 14,000 bicycles out of the water every year? Ask the people who work at the Amsterdam Manipulator about it. Amsterdam is the bicycle capital of the world. It's also a city with a lot of canals. Add to this the fact that certain drugs are legalized here, and that Dutch beer has a strength of 8%, and you realize that the said means of transportation regularly find themselves in the waterways of this settlement. So people who fish bicycles out of canals are in demand like nowhere else. They are hired by the state and use a barge-mounted manipulator to retrieve from the bottom whatever comes into their hydraulic clutches. Often they have to lift cars, with local drivers managing to sink up to 50 units per year. As for bicycles, the number of those recovered is much higher, up to 14,000 annually. Duck tamer. A duck tamer? Sounds like something you'd only see at a circus. Well, no. The famous Peabody Hotel has a full-time position for such an animal trainer. The famous Peabody Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee has a full-time position for a duck tamer, which was introduced in 1940. 8 years prior, an innkeeper named Frank Chouette had gone hunting with his friends and decided it would be fun to release live prey, as in some ducks, into the establishment's fountains. The birds' first mentor was a former circus trainer who trained them to march ceremoniously each morning from the roof of the hotel where they lived to the fountain, where they delighted visitors with their appearance throughout the day. The tradition caught on, and the duck tamer has been an indispensable attribute of the hotel ever since. In recent years, he has even maintained his own blog on the internet, where he reports to the world on the daily life and well-being of his subordinates. If you don't think the funeral will be tragic enough, you can hire mourners. No one likes a funeral, unless of course it puts money into the bank account. Professional mourners are essentially actors who are hired to expressively mourn at funerals and memorials, and these people get into character by learning the basic details of the deceased's biography, so they can coherently answer the question of why they are sobbing so bitterly if someone around them suddenly asks them about it. Clients hire mourners if they fear the ceremony will not look grief-stricken enough. This service is relevant, for example, in China, where external conventions at events of this kind are important, and the profession is gradually catching on in the West as well. Actress Diane Kruger, known for her roles in Inglourious Basterds and 3, has been a part-time mourner since the age of 12, and according to her, it was in this field where she got her taste for acting. If your pizza is delayed, you shouldn't worry, because it's probably being delivered by an underwater pizza delivery guy. The first representative of this profession was a Florida diving instructor named Andy Ball, who delivered pizza to an 8-meter depth and put it in a special receiver of a hotel called Jules's Underwater House. Andy had to use 20-pound weights to compensate for the buoyancy of the sealed box containing the pizza. He also had to hold the container steady so that the product didn't crumple or lose its marketability. The American admits that a few times water did find its way inside. The hotel, named in honor of Jules Verne, charges guests about $400 per day, so that they can take advantage of such an unusual delivery. It seems quite affordable. Legal robber. If you think you're going to jail for a robbery, you are sorely mistaken. Jim Stickley has been robbing banks since 1992, and he is still out there. Jim Stickley started robbing banks in 1992, and has done it over 1,000 times. Everyone knows about it, but it never even occurs to anyone to put this man in jail. The fact is that he is actually testing the security systems of financial institutions. Only the higher-ups know about the impending robbery, while ordinary bank employees have no idea that he is testing them. More often than not, Stickley uses deception. Disguised as a technician, he asks the staff to take him to the cash vault. He may also pretend to be a fireman, a disinfector, a plumber, or an electrician. Once inside, Jim uses a keylogger to infiltrate the local computer network and steal credit card numbers. Now, this may seem surprising, but in his 27 years of work, the burglar has never been exposed. Jim Stickley currently runs Stickley on Security, a financial security firm. Would you like to try your hand in one of today's professions? Don't forget to share your opinion on today's selection in the comments. Also, write about your dream profession. Subscribe to this channel, like, and don't forget to click on the bell. Thank you all very much for watching. See you soon. Pancake, everyone.